I stared at the phone in my hand, watching Dr. Morrison's name flash across the screen for the third time in 10 minutes. Something twisted in my gut, that primal mother's instinct that screams when danger circles your child. Victoria Chen speaking. Ms. Chen, this is Dr. Morrison. I need you to come to my office immediately. It's about Zoe's blood work from last week. My son played on the floor beside me, stacking blocks with chubby 2-year-old hands. Perfect, healthy, mine. Is something wrong? Is he sick? The pause lasted too long. Please come now, and Ms. Chen bring Zoe with you. The drive to the pediatrician's office blurred past. Zoe sang in his car seat, oblivious to the dread pooling in my stomach. I kept glancing at him in the rearview mirror, his almond-shaped eyes, the way his black hair curled at the ends, his golden-brown skin that glowed in the afternoon sunlight. Dr. Morrison's face, when we entered, told me everything before his mouth opened. He looked 10 years older than he had at our last appointment. Ms. Chen, please sit down. Just tell me. He closed the door, locked it. That's when real fear set in. There's been a situation at Memorial Hospital, a terrible, unforgivable situation. He pulled out a folder, hands shaking. Zoe's blood work showed some irregularities, so we ran a genetic panel. Standard procedure. But the results, Victoria, Zoe isn't your biological child. The room tilted sideways. That's impossible. I gave birth. I held my baby 30 seconds after delivery. Ms. Chen, you gave birth to a daughter, a baby girl. There was a switch at the hospital. 2 Bobbies born within an hour of each other, both in the NICU for observation. Somehow the identification bands were swapped. You've been raising someone else's child for 2 years, a boy, when you gave birth to a girl. Zoe grabbed my leg. Mama sad. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The walls pressed closer. Where's my daughter? Dr. Morrison's expression shifted to something worse than sympathy. Fear. She's with a man named Park Bumjin. He's Ms. Chen, he's one of the wealthiest men in Seoul. And he has lawyers, so many lawyers. Welcome back to my channel, beautiful people. Before we dive deeper into Victoria's story, please hit that subscribe button and smash the like icon. This story is going to take you on an emotional ride about family, identity, and unexpected love that will challenge everything you think you know about motherhood and fate. If you're new here, subscribe, drop a like, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Now let's get back to Victoria, because her world is about to explode. The lawyer's office occupied the entire 40th floor of a downtown skyscraper. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city like a god's view of mortals below. I felt small, powerless, terrified. Ms. Chen, Mr. Park will arrive shortly. I held Zoe tighter. He squirmed, wanting to explore, but I couldn't let go. What if they took him right now? What if this was all a trap to separate us? The elevator chimed. He walked in like he owned not just the building but the air we breathed. Tall, impeccably dressed in a black suit that probably cost more than my annual salary. His face could have been carved from stone-sharp jawline, intense eyes that missed nothing, dark hair swept back perfectly. And in his arms, he carried a little girl. My little girl. My biological daughter. She had my eyes, my exact eyes, the same deep brown with gold flecks that I saw every morning in the mirror. Her skin was a shade lighter than Zoe's, her hair straighter, but those eyes, God, those eyes were mine. Ms. Chen, his voice was deep, accented, controlled. I am Park Bumjin. I couldn't stop staring at the child in his arms. She looked healthy, well cared for, wearing a designer dress that probably cost more than my rent. But she didn't know me. She looked at me like I was a stranger. Because I was. Her name is Ella, he continued. I named her after my grandmother. Her name is supposed to be Jade, I whispered. I was going to name my daughter Jade. Something flickered in his expression. I did not know. The lawyer cleared his throat. Perhaps we should all sit down and discuss the situation rationally. Bumjin moved to the conference table, still holding Ella. I noticed how gently he supported her, how naturally she rested against his shoulder. He'd been her father for 2 years. He knew her favorite foods, her bedtime routine, the way she liked to be held. Just like I knew those things about the boy in my arms. The hospital has admitted fault, the lawyer began. "They're prepared to offer compensation." "I don't want money." My voice came out stronger than I felt. "I want my daughter." Bumjin's eyes locked on mine. "And I want my son." Zoe chose that moment to reach for him, curious about the stranger. "Hi." I watched Bumjin's face transform. The cold mask cracked. He stared at the child, his biological son, with such raw longing that I felt it in my chest. "His name is Minjun," Bumjin said quietly. "Park Minjun." "His name is Zoe. I named him Zoe because it means life, and he gave me a reason to live after his father abandoned us." The lawyer shifted uncomfortably. "Ms. Chen, Mr. Park, the situation is complicated. Both children have bonded with their respective parents. Both are thriving. Perhaps we could arrange a custody agreement." "No," Bumjin's voice cut like a blade. "Shared custody will destroy them. Children this young need stability, not confusion." "Then what are you suggesting?" I demanded. "Because I'm not giving up my daughter, either of them." He studied me for a long moment. Too long. It felt invasive, like he could see through my skin to the desperation beneath. "I have a proposition, but first I need you to understand something." He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, and turned it toward me. Videos, dozens of them. Of me. Taking Zoe to the park, reading to him at bedtime, dancing in our tiny apartment kitchen while making breakfast, shopping at the discount grocery store, playing at the playground. "What the hell is this?" Ice flooded my veins. "I have been watching you for 3 weeks, Ms. Chen, since the moment I discovered the truth." I shot to my feet. "You had me followed. You spied on me and my son." "I needed to know what kind of mother you were." His tone didn't change. "I needed to know if I could trust you with my child." "Your child? That's my son you're talking about." "Biologically, he is mine." Bumjin stood, still holding Ella with practiced ease. "But biology is not the only thing that matters. I watched you love him, sacrifice for him, put his needs above your own every single day despite working 2 jobs and barely keeping your lights on. You are a good mother, Victoria Chen." The use of my first name startled me. "So what now?" My hands shook. "You've vetted me, congratulations, what's your proposition?" Bumjin handed Ella to his assistant, who'd been standing silently in the corner. The little girl whimpered but didn't cry. She was used to being passed around to staff. My heart broke for her. He walked closer to me, too close. I could smell his cologne, expensive, subtle, distinctly masculine. "Marry me." I actually laughed. "Excuse me." "Marry me. We raise both children together as a family. No custody battle, no courts, no splitting them apart." "You're insane." "I am practical." His eyes held mine. "You cannot afford the lawyers I can hire. My family will destroy you in court. They will paint you as an unfit mother, too poor, too unstable, too alone. They will take both children from you and erase you from their lives completely." Rage burned through my shock. "That's a threat." "That is reality." He didn't blink. "But if you are my wife, they cannot touch you. You will be protected. The children will be protected. We can give them stability, resources, and most importantly, both of their parents." "I don't even know you." "You will learn, and I will learn you." Something about the way he said it sent shivers down my spine. This is crazy. People don't just get married because of a hospital mistake. People do many things for their children. The question is, what are you willing to do for yours? I looked at Zoe in my arms, then at Ella across the room. Both children carried my DNA. Both had been loved and cared for by strangers who became parents through no choice of their own. "Why marriage?" I pressed. "Why not just live near each other, co-parent separately?" Bumjin's jaw tightened. "My family requires an heir to inherit the company. Minjun is already registered as my son. If the truth becomes public, my stepmother will file for custody and ensure you are deemed unfit. She will make both children disappear into the foster system rather than let me raise them with you." "Why would she do that?" "Because she hates me, and she hates that my father left everything to me instead of her biological son." He moved even closer. "Marriage is the only protection for all of us." "And what do you get out of this? Besides, is your son back?" His eyes flickered to Ella, then back to me. I get to ensure my daughter is raised by her biological mother. I watched you with Minjun, Victoria. You are the kind of mother Ella deserves. The compliment felt genuine, which only made everything more confusing. I need conditions, I said finally. Name them. Separate bedrooms. Legal protections ensure I can't be thrown out. I will keep my job, and if I find any proof this switch wasn't accidental, the deal is off. Bumjin's expression didn't change, but something dark passed through his eyes. Agreed. Too easily. What are you hiding? I am hiding nothing. I am simply a man trying to protect his children, both of them. He extended his hand. Do we have an agreement? I looked at that hand. Strong, elegant, belonging to a stranger who held all the power in this negotiation. A stranger who'd been watching me for weeks without my knowledge. A stranger who wanted to marry me for a business transaction disguised as parental devotion. But when I looked at Zoe's face and Ella's face, I knew I didn't have a choice. I shook his hand. We have an agreement. His fingers tightened around mine. Welcome to the family, Mrs. Park. The moving truck looked ridiculous parked outside Bumjin's estate. Estate, not a house. An estate with gates, security, and grounds that stretched farther than I could see from the entrance. Mama, big house. Zoe pressed his face against the car window. Big didn't cover it. The main house was 3 stories of modern architecture, all glass and steel and clean lines that screamed wealth. The driveway alone was larger than the playground near our old apartment. Bumjin's driver opened my door. I'd insisted on bringing my own car, but Bumjin had sent a car service anyway. Control. Everything about this man was control. Ms. Chen, Mr. Park is waiting inside. I lifted Zoe out and headed toward the front entrance. The doors opened before I could knock. A woman in her 50s stood there, her face professionally neutral but her eyes cold as she assessed me. You must be the new Mrs. Park. I am Mrs. H. Wang, the head housekeeper. Not welcome or pleased to meet you, just a statement of fact. Where's Bumjin? Mr. Park is in the West Wing with young Miss Ella. He thought it best if she was settled before introducing changes to her routine. Changes, that's what I was, a change. Mrs. H. Wang led me through hallways that belonged in architectural magazines. Everything was pristine, expensive, untouchable. Zoe squirmed to be put down, but I didn't dare. What if he broke something worth more than my life? Your room is here. She opened a door to a bedroom that was bigger than my entire apartment. Mr. Park's room is at the end of the hall. He requested that I inform you that he respects your privacy and will not enter without permission. How thoughtful, I muttered. Indeed. Mrs. H. Wang's tone suggested she didn't think it was thoughtful at all. Dinner is at 7. Mr. Park expects punctuality. She left before I could respond. I set Zoe down and watched him explore, touching everything with sticky toddler fingers. The bed was enormous, king-sized, with sheets that felt like silk. The attached bathroom had a tub big enough to swim in. There was even a sitting area with a couch and television. This was my prison cell. Luxurious, sure, but still a cage. A soft knock interrupted my spiral. Bumjin stood in the doorway, Ella in his arms. Up close, the resemblance to me was even stronger. She had my nose, my chin, the same curve to her lips. I thought you might want to spend time with her before dinner. He stepped inside, and Ella immediately hid her face in his neck. Shy. My daughter was shy. It is all right, sweetheart. This is Victoria. She is a friend. Not your mother. Not yet, maybe never. Hi, Ella. I kept my voice soft. You're very pretty. She peeked at me, then quickly looked away. Zoe, meanwhile, had toddled over to Bumjin and grabbed his leg. Up. I saw Bumjin's entire body go rigid. He stared down at his biological son, the child he'd only seen in surveillance videos, and something broke in his carefully controlled expression. Minjun, he whispered. His name is Zoe, I corrected sharply. His name is both. Bumjin carefully transferred Ella to his other arm and bent down to Zoe's level. Hello, little one. I am very happy to meet you. Zoe grinned, completely unafraid. You're tall. A ghost of a smile touched Bumjin's lips. Yes, very tall. You will be tall too someday. Watching them together hurt in ways I hadn't anticipated. This was his son, his biological child, and I'd kept them apart without knowing. "Would you like to hold Ella?" Bumjin asked me. I nodded, not trusting my voice. He transferred her carefully, but the moment Ella landed in my arms, she screamed. Not just cried, screamed like I was hurting her. "No, Appa, Appa." She thrashed, reaching desperately for Bumjin. I tried to hold her gently to comfort her, but she wanted nothing to do with me. "Ella, it is all right." "No, bad lady, Appa." "Bad lady. My own daughter called me a bad lady." Bumjin took her back immediately. She buried her face in his neck, sobbing. He rubbed her back, murmuring something in Korean that I didn't understand. "I am sorry," he said quietly. "She does not know you yet." "She's afraid of me." My eyes burned. "My own daughter is afraid of me." "She will learn. Children adapt. You adapted with Minjun, did you not?" "That was different. He was a newborn. He didn't know anyone else." "Then we will take it slowly." Bumjin's voice held an unexpected gentleness. "You have time." But did I? How long before Ella rejected me completely? How long before Zoe forgot I was the one who raised him and bonded with Bumjin instead? That night, I understood the true cost of this arrangement. I'd traded my freedom for a chance at motherhood that might never come. Dinner was torture. The dining room table could seat 20 people. Only 4 chairs were occupied, mine, Bumjin's, and 2 high chairs for the children positioned between us. A woman I hadn't met before served courses that looked too beautiful to eat. Bumjin cut Ella's food into tiny pieces while she babbled at him in a mixture of English and Korean. Zoe, usually a good eater, kept reaching for me. "Mama, want mama." "I am here, baby." "No, come here." The high chair trapped him. He didn't understand why I sat so far away instead of next to him like always. His eyes welled with tears. "Perhaps we should move the children closer," Bumjin suggested. "Perhaps we should let them eat at a normal table like normal kids." "This is a normal table." "For you." We glared at each other across the expanse of polished wood. Ella stopped eating and watched us nervously. She'd seen arguments before. I could tell by the way she tucked into herself. Who argued in front of her? Bumjin, or someone else in this massive house? "We should discuss routines," Bumjin said finally. "Bedtimes, naps, meals, we need consistency." Zoe goes to bed at 8. He naps from 1 to 3. He doesn't eat seafood because it makes him sick. He likes oatmeal for breakfast and needs his stuffed elephant to sleep. Ella sleeps at 7:30. She naps from 12 to 2. She is allergic to strawberries. She prefers rice porridge in the morning and cannot sleep without her music box. We stared at each other, both realizing the same thing. Our children were on completely different schedules. "This will not work," I said. "It will," we adjust. "How? Force them to change everything they've known for 2 years. That's cruel." "Keeping them apart is crueler." Bumjin set down his fork. "We find middle ground together." That word "together" felt foreign. I'd been alone for so long that I'd forgotten what partnership looked like. "Fine, but Zoe keeps his elephant. Ella keeps her music box." Agreed. It was a start, barely. After dinner, I took Zoe upstairs for his bath. The bathroom attached to my room had everything: expensive soaps, fluffy towels, toys I hadn't bought. Someone had anticipated our needs. "Mama, why do we live here?" Zoe asked as I washed his hair. "Because we're staying with a friend for a while." "The tall man." "Yes, the tall man. I like him. He smells good." I couldn't help but smile. "Yeah, what else do you like?" "Big house, lots of rooms." He splashed water. "But I like our home better." My throat tightened. "Me too, baby, me too." A knock at the door interrupted us. "Victoria, is now a good time?" Bumjin's voice. "We're in the bath." "I know, I brought Ella. She needs a bath as well." And I thought perhaps they could bathe together, help them bond. I wrapped Zoe in a towel and opened the door. Bumjin stood there with a pajama-clad Ella who looked half asleep. "She usually bathes in the morning," he admitted, "but I thought this might help." It was surprisingly thoughtful. "Okay, yeah, come in." He entered our bathroom, technically, and began undressing Ella while I dried Zoe. The intimacy of the moment struck me. This was what married couples did, bathed their kids together, made small talk about bedtime routines. Except we weren't a real couple. This was all pretend. "Baby," Zoe suddenly grinned at Ella. "Hi, baby." Ella looked at him shyly. "Hi. Want to play?" She nodded. Just like that, the 2-year-olds decided they were friends. Bumjin and I exchanged glances, surprise, relief, and something else I couldn't name. "Well," I said softly, "that's one problem solved." "Yes," he watched the children with an intensity that made me uncomfortable. One down, many more to go. We bathed them together, working around each other in the ridiculously huge bathroom. Bumjin was efficient. He'd done this before, clearly. He knew how to wash Ella's hair without getting soap in her eyes, how to make her giggle by making silly faces. He was a good father. That realization hurt, because it meant he'd given Ella everything I couldn't: stability, resources, time. "You are quiet," he observed. "Just thinking. About how she doesn't need me. She has you." Bumjin stopped mid-rinse. "She needs her mother." "She has a mother. The woman who raised her for 2 years. Me, I'm just biology." "Biology matters," his voice hardened. "Do not dismiss it." "I'm not. I struggled to find words. What if she never accepts me? What if I'm always the bad lady?" Ella chose that moment to splash water at Zoe, who laughed and splashed back. They played like they'd known each other forever instead of 45 minutes. "Children are resilient," Bumjin said quietly. "Give her time, give yourself time." After baths, Zoe refused to go to his bed without me. I expected it. What I didn't expect was Ella crying when Bumjin tried to take her to her room. "No, I want Minjin. I want a brother." "Brother?" She called Zoe her brother. Bumjin looked at me helplessly. She has never done this before. "They've bonded." I bit my lip. "Maybe they should sleep in the same room tonight." "That is not," he stopped. "Actually, that might work. There is a guest room with twin beds. We could move them both there temporarily." 20 minutes later, both children were tucked into beds pushed close together, Zoe clutching his elephant and Ella's music box playing soft lullabies between them. Bumjin and I stood in the doorway, watching them drift off. "This is strange," I whispered. "Very strange. Are we insane for doing this?" "Probably," he glanced at me, "but we are doing it anyway." "Yeah, we are." His hand brushed mine in the darkness. Whether by accident or intention, I couldn't tell, but neither of us moved away. We stood there, two strangers bound by children and circumstance, watching over the two most important people in both our worlds. And for just a moment, it felt almost right. I woke up screaming at 3 in the morning. My heart nearly exploded as I bolted from bed and ran to the children's room. Bumjin arrived at the same time from the opposite direction, wearing only sleep pants and looking ready to fight whatever threatened our kids. Zoe was sobbing hysterically, caught in a nightmare. Ella sat up in her bed, crying sympathetically because she didn't understand what was happening. "I've got him." I scooped Zoe into my arms, rocking him. "SHH, baby, Mama's here, you're safe." Mama, scared bad man." "No bad man, sweetie. Just a dream, just a bad dream." Bumjin moved to Ella, lifting her against his chest and rubbing her back. "You are all right, little flower. Your brother had a nightmare. See, Victoria is helping him." Minjun's scared. "A little, but he is brave, like you." I carried Zoe to the rocking chair in the corner and settled in, letting him curl against me like he had since he was tiny. His sobs gradually quieted to hiccups, then to slow, shuddering breaths. Bumjin stood nearby with Ella, swaying slightly. She'd already fallen back asleep on his shoulder. "Does he have nightmares often?" he asked quietly. "Sometimes, usually when things change. New places stress him out." "I see." Guilt flickered across his face. "Perhaps we moved too quickly." "You think?" The words came out harsher than I intended. "We uprooted his entire life. New house, new people, new everything. Of course he's stressed." "And whose fault is that?" I looked up sharply. "Excuse me." If the hospital had not made this mistake, None of this would be necessary. Oh, so you're blaming the hospital now. Not convenient for your narrative that you've been planning this marriage for weeks. His eyes narrowed. What does that mean? It means you watched me for 3 weeks before approaching. You had time to plan, to prepare. I got blindsided. I was protecting my interests. Your interests? These are children, Bumjin, not business acquisitions. I'm aware of that. Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, this whole thing feels like a corporate merger with kids as bargaining chips. You know nothing about my motivations. Then enlighten me. Why marriage, really? Because I don't buy the whole protecting them from your evil stepmother story. There's something else. Zoe stirred in my arms, whimpering. I immediately gentled my voice, but the damage was done. The tension between Bumjin and me was thick enough to cut. We will discuss this later, he said coldly, when the children are not present. Fine. Fine. He carried Ella back to her bed. I did the same with Zoe, tucking him in extra tight. Before leaving, I bent and kissed his forehead. I love you, baby, so much. Love you too, Mama. At the door, Bumjin and I nearly collided. We both froze, inches apart in the darkened hallway. I am not the enemy, he said quietly. Then why does it feel like you are? Because you are scared, and when you are scared, you fight. I understand that. But I am not your enemy, Victoria. I am trying to keep this family together. We're not a family. We're 4 people forced into proximity because of a mistake. Something dark and dangerous flashed in his eyes. Then we will become a family, whether you like it or not. He walked away before I could respond. I stood there in the hallway, shaking with anger and fear, and something I didn't want to name. This was going to be so much harder than I thought. Morning brought new disasters. Breakfast turned into a war zone when the nanny Mrs. H. Wang had hired tried to take Zoe from me to feed him properly. I can feed my own son, I said through gritted teeth. Mr. Park prefers the children to eat at the breakfast nook, not at the formal table. Then, why didn't anyone tell me about this breakfast nook? I assumed Mr. Park informed you of the household rules. Her tone dripped with condescension. I wanted to throw the overpriced orange juice in her smug face. His name is Zoe, I said clearly. Not Minjun, not the boy, Zoe. Mr. Park has requested we use the child's proper Korean name. I don't care what Mr. Park requested. I'm his mother, and his name is Zoe. The nanny with her badge said Miss Kim smiled coldly. Of course, Mrs. Park, though I wonder how long that title will last. The implication was clear. She didn't think I belonged here. She was right. Is there a problem? Bumjin appeared in the doorway, already dressed in another expensive suit. He looked like he'd stepped out of a business magazine, polished, powerful, intimidating. Miss Kim was just explaining the house rules, I said sweetly. How kind of her. His eyes moved between us, assessing. Miss Kim, you are dismissed. Sir, I was only. You are dismissed, permanently. Mrs. H. Wang will process your final payment. Miss Kim's face went white. Mr. Park, please, Leave, now. She fled. I stared at Bumjin in shock. You just fired her. Yes. Because of me. Because she disrespected my wife. He moved closer, his presence overwhelming in the small breakfast room. Let me be very clear, Victoria. You are Mrs. Park now. That means something in this house. Anyone who forgets that will be removed. Understood. I couldn't find words. He defended me, publicly, decisively. Thank you, I managed. Do not thank me for basic respect. You deserve far more than that. Then he left for work, leaving me standing there with my heart doing strange things in my chest. The days blurred together into a strange new routine. Bumjin left early for his company. I spent mornings with both children, trying desperately to bond with Ella while not neglecting Zoe. Afternoons meant naps, then playtime, then the agonizing wait for Bumjin to return. He always came home by 6, always spent an hour with the kids before dinner, always asked about my day. It was domestic, weird, sometimes it's almost nice. But underneath, tension simmered. Ella still wouldn't let me hold her without crying. Zoe was calling Bumjin Appa now, which made my heart crack every time, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. One afternoon, while the kids napped, I decided to explore. The house had too many rooms, too many locked doors. What was Bumjin hiding? I found his study on the second floor, a massive room lined with books and dominated by a huge desk. The door was unlocked, careless for someone so controlling. Or a test. I rifled through papers, not sure what I was looking for. Financial documents, business contracts, nothing personal. Then I found the file. Surveillance photos, dozens of them, but these weren't from the 3 weeks he'd admitted to watching me. These were from 2 years ago. Me, pregnant, leaving the hospital with a newborn Zoe. Me, struggling with a stroller outside my apartment. Me, crying on a park bench while Zoe slept beside me. He'd been watching since the beginning. Find anything interesting? I spun around. Bumjin stood in the doorway, expression unreadable. You've been watching me since the children were born. My voice shook. Why? Close the file, Victoria. Answer me. Why do you have pictures of me from 2 years ago? Because I suspected. He stepped into the room, closing the door behind him. 6 months after the birth, I noticed that Ella did not look like me, or like Seo Yeon, who I believed was her mother at the time. I began investigating. Seo Yeon, the name of the charity gala, his ex-fiancé. My family arranged our engagement. Seo Yeon was supposed to give birth to my heir, but she miscarried. His jaw tightened. Or so I was told. The dates never matched, the story never made sense, so I hired investigators. And they found me. They found discrepancies at the hospital, missing records, paid off administrators, and yes, eventually they found you. He moved closer. I watched you raise my biological son, watch you struggle and sacrifice and love him despite having nothing, and I knew. Knew what? That if I ever had to share custody, I wanted it to be with you. The admission hung between us. You manipulated this entire situation, I said slowly. You've been planning this marriage for months. Yes. You let me think I had a choice. You did have a choice. You could have said no. And lost both children. You stacked the deck, Bumjin. You made sure I had no option but to agree to your terms. I protected my children. His voice rose for the first time since I'd met him. I made sure they would be raised by parents who love them instead of being thrown into the foster system by my vindictive stepmother. Yes, I manipulated the situation. Yes, I watched you for months, and I would do it again. You had no right. I had every right. He is my son. And she's my daughter. We stood there, both breathing hard. The truth finally laid bare between us. Why didn't you just tell me? I asked quietly. Why all the games? Because I needed to know what kind of woman you were, if you could be trusted, if you would run the moment things got difficult. His eyes burned into mine. And yes, because I needed leverage. I needed you to need me as much as I needed you. That's sick. That is survival. My family will destroy anyone they perceive as a threat. The only way to protect you is to bind us together so tightly that separating us would destroy everything. So you made me your wife. I made you my partner. There is a difference. Is there? I challenged. Because from where I stand, I'm still a prisoner. A well-treated one, sure, but a prisoner nonetheless. Bumjin's expression shifted to something dangerous. You want to leave? Fine, leave, take Ella, take Minjun, walk out that door right now. I blinked. What? Leave. If you truly believe you are a prisoner, then go. I will not stop you. You're lying. Am I? He pulled out his phone, typed something, and showed me the screen. There. Security has been instructed to let you pass. Your car keys are in the entry hall. You can leave any time you want. My heart pounded, just like that. Just like that. He pocketed his phone. But know this, Victoria. If you leave, my stepmother will file for custody within the hour. She has lawyers already prepared. And without me protecting you, you will lose. Both children will be taken from both of us, and we will never see them again. You're still manipulating me. No, I am giving you the truth. The door is unlocked, but the world outside is more dangerous than anything inside these walls. So choose. I stared at him. hatred and fear, and something terrifyingly close to respect warring inside me. "I hate you," I whispered. "I know," his voice softened, "but you love them, that is enough." He left me standing in his study, surrounded by evidence of his deception, with the freedom to leave and nowhere safe to go. I didn't leave. And he knew I wouldn't. That night, lying in my too-big bed, I finally let myself cry. For the life I'd lost. For the daughter who didn't know me. For the son who was slowly forgetting I was the only parent he'd ever needed. And for the man down the hall who trapped me in a gold cage and called it protection. I fell asleep to the sound of Ella's music box playing through the walls. Tomorrow, I promised myself. Tomorrow, I'd figure out what really happened at that hospital. Tomorrow, I'll find out the truth. Even if it destroyed everything. The charity gala arrived faster than I wanted. Bumjin insisted we attend our first public appearance together as a married couple. The press would be there. His family would be there. Everyone who mattered in his world would witness the black single mother who'd somehow trapped Korea's most eligible billionaire. At least, that's what they'd think. "You need to wear this." Bumjin stood in my doorway holding a garment bag. "I have dresses." "Not like this one." He laid it on my bed. "Trust me." The dress was stunning deep emerald silk that would complement my skin tone perfectly. Designer. Expensive. Chosen specifically for me. "Why emerald?" I asked. "Because it matches your eyes when you are angry, and you will be very angry tonight." He wasn't wrong. The gala was held at a hotel so luxurious it made Bumjin's house look modest. Chandeliers dripped crystal. Waiters circulated with champagne that probably cost more than my monthly rent used to, and every single person stopped to stare when we entered. Bumjin's hand rested possessively on my lower back. "Smile, let them wonder." "They're not wondering, they're judging." "Let them, their opinions mean nothing." But they did mean something. I could feel the weight of their stares, their whispered speculation. Who was I? Where did I come from? How did I trick him into marriage? "Bumjin, darling." A woman glided toward us, beautiful and poised in a white gown that screamed old money. Her smile was polished, but her eyes were knives. Bumjin's hand tightened on my waist. "Seoyeon." Oh no. "I heard the most ridiculous rumor that you'd gotten married." Seoyeon's gaze raked over me with barely disguised contempt. "But surely that can't be true. You were supposed to marry me." "Plans change," Bumjin said coolly. "Apparently." She stepped closer, invading my space. "I'm Seoyeon, Bumjin's fiancé, or I was until recently." "Victoria," I refused to be intimidated. "Bumjin's wife, currently." Her smile sharpened. "How fascinating. Tell me, Victoria, how exactly did you meet? I'm dying to know the story." "We met through mutual interests," Bumjin interjected. "Now if you'll excuse us." "Mutual interests? How vague." Seoyeon laughed, the sound like breaking glass. "Let me guess. You got pregnant and he did the honorable thing. How very traditional." "Seoyeon," Bumjin's voice dropped to something dangerous. "Walk away." "Why?" "Afraid I'll expose the truth. That you're playing house with some nobody while your real family suffers." "My real family is at home with our children. You are nothing to me." The words hit their mark. Seoyeon's composure cracked just slightly. "Those children," she hissed, "are not yours. Everyone knows it. Everyone whispers about how you were tricked into raising someone else's bastards." I moved before thinking, stepping between them. "Say that again. I dare you." Seoyeon's eyes widened. She hadn't expected me to fight back. "My children," I said clearly, "are none of your business. Neither is my marriage. So why don't you take your bitterness, an expired engagement elsewhere, before I forget we're in public?" For a moment, no one moved. Then Seoyeon's mask slipped completely. "You think you've won? You think marrying him makes you safe?" She leaned close, her voice dropping. "He was supposed to marry me. Those were supposed to be our children. You and your convenient hospital mistake ruined everything." The words registered slowly, too slowly. "What did you say?" "Oh, did he not tell you?" Seoyeon's smile turned vicious. "The switch wasn't random, Victoria, it was planned, and when the truth comes out you'll lose everything." She walked away before I could respond, leaving me frozen in the middle of the gala. Bumjin grabbed my arm. "Victoria." "Don't," I pulled away. "Don't touch me, don't talk to me, not here." "She is lying." "Is she?" Because she seemed pretty confident for someone making things up. His jaw clenched. "We will discuss this at home." "Damn right we will." The rest of the gala passed in a blur. I smiled when expected, nodded at introductions, and played the part of a dutiful wife. But inside, Seoyeon's words echoed. The switch was planned. The switch was planned. The switch was planned. The car ride home was silent. Bumjin stared out his window. I started out mine. The driver wisely kept his eyes on the road. When we arrived, Bumjin dismissed the staff and headed straight for his study. I followed, slamming the door behind us. "Talk, now." He poured himself a drink, his back to me. "Seoyeon is bitter. She will say anything to hurt me." "That's not an answer. Did you know the switch was planned?" "No." "Do you suspect it was planned?" His hesitation told me everything. "Oh my God, you do. You suspect it and you didn't tell me." "I have no proof." "But you suspect. How long? How long have you suspected someone deliberately switched our bobbies?" He finally turned to face me. 3 months. The room spun. 3 months. You've suspected for 3 months that someone intentionally destroyed our lives, stole our children, and you said nothing. I was investigating. You were manipulating. Again, you keep lying to me, Bumjin. You keep hiding things and making decisions without me and expecting me to just trust you when you've given me every reason not to. I was protecting you. I don't need protection. I need the truth. I need a partner, not a puppeteer. Then what do you want from me? He slammed his glass down. Tell me, Victoria, what do you want? Because I have given you everything. My name, my home, my protection. I have defended you against my family, fired anyone who disrespects you, and devoted every spare moment to those children. What more can I possibly give? The truth, just the goddamn truth. Stop playing games and tell me what you know. Silence fell, heavy and suffocating. Bumjin moved to his desk and pulled out another file, thicker than the last one. 6 weeks after Ella was born, Seoyeon came to me. She said she had miscarried our child and needed time to recover. I believed her. He opened the file. But the timeline was wrong. She was never pregnant enough to miscarry at 6 weeks postpartum, so I investigated. He spread papers across the desk. Medical records, hospital logs, financial transactions. Seoyeon paid the hospital administrator $50,000 2 days before Ella was born. Another payment went to a nurse on staff that night, and a third payment went to someone whose identity I have not yet uncovered. My hands shook as I picked up the documents. She paid them to switch the bobbies. I believe so, yes. Why? Why would she do that? Because she was supposed to give birth to my heir. When she miscarried or perhaps never got pregnant at all, she panicked. My family would have ended the engagement. Her family's company would have lost the merger we promised. So she found another solution. She stole a baby. The horror of it crashed over me. She stole your son and replaced him with Ella, my daughter. And you were chosen because you were alone. No family, no support, easy to discredit if necessary. His voice hardened. She intended to raise Minjun as hers, but I discovered Ella was not mine. The engagement ended, and Seoyeon's plan fell apart. So what? Just abandoned Ella, left her with you. She claimed she had bonded with the child and wanted custody. I refused. DNA proved Ella was not mine, but I had already spent 6 months raising her. I was not going to give her to the woman who stole my real child. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. That's why you watched me. You knew Seoyeon had switched the bobbies, so you tracked down who had your real son. Yes. And when you found me, you decided to take him back. But you couldn't just take him without looking like a monster, so you manipulated me into marriage. I gave you a choice. A choice between losing everything or marrying a stranger. That's not a choice, Bumjin. That's coercion. It was the only way to protect all of us. If Seoyeon learns that I know the truth, she will destroy the evidence. She will disappear, and we will never be able to prove what she did. So what? We just live in this house pretending everything is fine while she walks free. No, we gathered enough evidence to bury her, and then we make sure she never threatens our family again. Our family, he kept saying that, like we were real. I can't do this. I backed toward the door. I can't keep living in a house full of lies and secrets and wondering what you're hiding from me next. Victoria, wait. No, I'm done waiting. I'm done trusting you. I'm done with all of it. I ran, not out of the house, where would I go, but to my room, where I locked the door and tried to breathe through the panic. Seoyeon stole my daughter, replaced her with Bumjin's son, paid people to destroy 2 families for her own gain. And Bumjin knew. He knew and said nothing. A soft knock interrupted my spiral. Victoria, it's me. Not Bumjin, Mrs. H. Wang. I opened the door. She stood there with tea and an expression that was almost kind. Mr. Park asked me to check on you. I'm fine. You are not fine, and that is all right. She set the tea on my nightstand. May I speak plainly? I nodded, too exhausted to argue. Mr. Park is not good at emotions. He was raised to control everything, trust no one, and solve problems with money and power. But those children have changed him. She met my eyes. And so have you. He's been lying to me since we met. He has been protecting you. There is a difference. Is there? Yes. Mrs. H. Wang moved toward the door, then paused. He fired 12 staff members who spoke poorly of you. He canceled 3 business trips to stay home with the children. And last week, I found him watching videos of you and Minjun on his phone at 2 in the morning. My heart stuttered. What? He watches you with the boy, studies how you parent, try to learn. A small smile crossed her face. That is not a man who sees you as a transaction, Mrs. Park. That is a man who cares very deeply and has no idea how to show it. She left before I could respond. I sat there in the dark, tea growing cold, mind racing. Bumjin watched videos of me parenting. Bumjin defended me to everyone. Bumjin came home every night at 6, no matter what. He was trying. In his broken, controlling, emotionally stunted way, he was trying. But was I trying enough? I didn't sleep that night. At 4 in the morning, I gave up and went to check on the children. Both were fast asleep, tangled together in Zoe's bed despite having separate ones. Ella's arm was thrown over Zoe's chest. Zoe's hand clutched Ella's pajama sleeve. They loved each other. Despite everything, despite the chaos and lies and adult complications, these 2 children had found each other. They do this every night now. I jumped. Bumjin stood in the doorway, still dressed from the gala. You haven't slept. Neither have you. He stepped into the room, keeping his distance. I check on them before bed. They are always like this, together. They're siblings. Of course they're together. No, they are more than siblings. His voice was soft. They are 2 halves of the same whole, separated, then reunited. They understand each other in ways we cannot. He was right. I hated that he was right. I am sorry, he said quietly. I should have told you about Seoyeon sooner. I was wrong to keep it from you. An apology. I'm from Bumjin. I hadn't expected that. Why didn't you? Really? Because I was afraid you would leave, that you would take both children and run, and I would lose everyone all at once. He looked at the sleeping children. I have lost so much in my life, Victoria. I could not bear to lose them, or you. You barely know me. I know you better than you think. I know you bite your lip when you are nervous. I know you sing to Minjun when you think no one is listening. I know you skip meals to make sure the children eat first. I know you cry in the shower so they will not see you upset. His eyes found mine. I know you are the strongest person I have ever met, and I do not deserve you, but I need you anyway. My throat closed. I'm scared, I admitted. Scared that Seoyeon will win. Scared that I'll lose Ella before she ever knows me. Scared that this whole thing will fall apart and I'll end up alone again. You will not be alone, I promise you that. How can you promise that when everything is built on lies? Then we start over. No more secrets, no more lies, we become partners, real partners, you and me against everyone else. And Seoyeon. We destroy her together. The darkness in his voice should have scared me. Instead, it felt like justice. But first, we need proof, evidence that will stand up in court and bury her forever. How? I have an idea, but you will not like it. He was right, I didn't like it. The plan was simply to attend another gala, this one hosted by Seo Yeon's family. Wear a wire, get her to confess. She'll never fall for it, I argued. She's too smart. She is arrogant, and she hates you. Use that. What if it goes wrong? Then we find another way. But Victoria, this is our best chance. She will be surrounded by her family, feeling safe and superior. If you can push the right buttons, she will talk. I wanted to say no. I wanted to refuse. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw Ella's face. My daughter who didn't know me. My daughter who was stolen because someone thought she was disposable. Fine, I'll do it. Bumjin's expression shifted to something I'd never seen before. Relief, gratitude, maybe even pride. Thank you. The gala was in 2 weeks. 14 days to prepare. 14 days to figure out how to make a woman confess to a crime she'd spent 2 years hiding. No pressure. The days leading up to Seo Yeon's gala were strange. Bumjin and I circled each other carefully, neither quite sure how to navigate this new honesty between us. But the children thrived. Ella started letting me brush her hair. Not hold her, not yet, but small touches, progress. Zoe called Bumjin Appa without hesitation now. It still hurt, but I was learning to share. One afternoon, I found Bumjin in the playroom, sprawled on the floor while both children climbed on him like he was in a jungle gym. Appa be a monster. I am too tired to be a monster. Please, Ella's eyes went wide. She'd learned that look from Zoe. Yeah, please, Zoe echoed. Bumjin sighed dramatically, then roared and grabbed both children, tickling them until they shrieked with laughter. I stood in the doorway watching. This cold, controlling, manipulative man was gentle with them, patient, kind. He looked up and caught me staring. "Wanna play?" Ella asked suddenly, actually asking. My heart stopped. "Yeah, you want me to play?" She nodded shyly. I joined them on the floor. Bumjin made space without comment, and for the next hour we played, all 4 of us, like a real family. When the children finally tired themselves out and went down for naps, Bumjin and I ended up in the kitchen. He made tea. I pretended not to notice how domestic it all felt. "She is warming to you," he observed. Slowly. Slowly is better than never. I sipped my tea, gathering courage. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "What happens after? After we expose Seo Yeon and the truth comes out, what happens to us?" His expression shuddered. "What do you want to happen?" "I don't know. This whole marriage was supposed to be temporary, a protection, but now. I couldn't say it. Couldn't admit that somewhere between the fights and the fear and the forced proximity, I'd started to care about him. Now I don't know what we are. I finished lamely. Bumjin set down his cup. "We are what we choose to be, nothing more, nothing less." "That's not an answer." "It is the only answer I have." He stood. "I cannot promise you love, Victoria. I do not know if I am capable of it, but I can promise loyalty, partnership, and I will never stop fighting for our children. Our children, not his or mine, ours." "Okay," I said softly. "That's enough for now." He nodded and left. I sat there alone, wondering when, for now, had started to feel like forever. The night of Seo Yeon's gala arrived with terrifying speed. I wore another dress Bumjin had chosen, red this time, bold and eye-catching. The wire was hidden beneath the fabric, small and undetectable. "Remember," Bumjin said in the car, "push her buttons, make her angry. Angry people make mistakes." "What if she doesn't take the bait?" "She will. She hates that I chose you over her. Use that." The gala was everything I expected. Opulent, excessive, full of people who looked at me like I was a stain on their expensive carpet. Seo Yeon held court in the center of the room, surrounded by admirers. When she saw us enter, her smile turned predatory. "Showtime," I muttered. "You can do this." I wasn't sure if Bumjin was reassuring me or himself. I approached Seo Yeon alone. Bumjin stayed near the bar, watching. "Victoria, How unexpected. I didn't think you'd have the courage to show your face here. Why wouldn't I? I have nothing to hide. Don't you? She leaned close. Tell me, how does it feel knowing you're raising my son? The wire caught every word. He's not your son. He never was. Biological details, so tedious. She sipped her champagne. But I suppose you'd know all about that, wouldn't you? Raising a child that isn't yours. At least I didn't steal one. Her eyes flashed. Careful, darling. Accusations like that could be considered slander. Only if they're not true. Are they true, Seoyeon? Did you pay the hospital to switch those bobbies? You must be delusional. Why would I do such a thing? Because you weren't pregnant. You lied to Bumjin, and when you couldn't produce an heir, you stole his son and replaced him with my daughter. People nearby had started to listen. Seoyeon's smile tightened. You have quite the imagination. Do I? Because I have bank records, payment records, names of hospital staff who suddenly came into money right around the time my daughter was born. A lie, but she didn't know that. Those records prove nothing. They prove enough, and when it all comes out, everyone will know what you did. You'll be ruined. Me, ruined? Seoyeon laughed, but it sounded forced. You're a nobody, Victoria, an insignificant single mother who got lucky. You have no power here. I have the truth. That's more power than you'll ever have. Her mask cracked completely. She grabbed my arm, nails digging in. You want the truth? Fine. Yes, I paid them. Yes, I switched those brats. Your daughter was supposed to disappear into some foster home, and my son Bumjin's son was supposed to secure my place in this family. Her voice dropped to a venomous hiss. But you had to be a good mother. You had to love that child and raise him well and ruin everything. So yes, I hate you. I hate those children. And I will do whatever it takes to destroy you all. Got her. I pulled away, heart racing. Thanks for the confession. Her eyes widened. What? I touched my necklace. Across the room, Bumjin pulled out his phone. The wire you're wearing is very pretty, by the way, I said sweetly. Almost invisible, just like mine. Seoyeon went white. Did you record me? Every word. And so did the 3 witnesses Bumjin planted around the room, and the lawyer recording from the balcony, and the police detective waiting outside. She lunged at me. Security caught her before she could make contact. You bitch, you set me up. No, I gave you rope. You hanged yourself. Bumjin appeared at my side, his presence solid and reassuring. Seoyeon, you are under arrest for conspiracy, child endangerment, fraud, and about a dozen other charges my lawyers will be filing tomorrow. The detective entered, flashing his badge. Ma'am, you need to come with us. Seoyeon fought and screamed as they dragged her away. The gala guests watched in horrified fascination. I started shaking. The adrenaline crashed all at once. Easy, Bumjin caught me. You did it. It is over. Is it really over? Yes, she confessed to everything. We have witnesses, recordings, and evidence. She will go to prison for this. I looked up at him. We did it together. Something shifted in his expression. Yes, together. Then he kissed me. In front of everyone. In front of the cameras and the guests and the whole world. He kissed me like I was the only thing that mattered. When he pulled back, I was breathless. What was that? A statement. You are mine. I am yours. Let everyone see. Bumjin. I know I do not deserve you. I know I have lied and manipulated and controlled. But I am trying to be better. For you, for the children, for us. His hand cupped my face. Let me try, please. How could I say no to that? Okay, try. He smiled, actually smiled. It transformed his entire face. Let us go home, to our children, to our family. This time, when he said family, it felt real. 3 weeks later, I woke to chaos. Both children had climbed into my bed at some point during the night. Zoe sprawled across my legs. Ella curled against my side, her hand fisted in my shirt. The door opened. Bumjin entered with a breakfast tray. Good morning. You made breakfast. I attempted breakfast. The kitchen may need repairs. I laughed. Actually, I laughed. He set the tray on the nightstand and sat on the edge of the bed. Both children immediately reached for him. Appa, hungry. I know, little monsters. That is why I brought food. We ate together, all four of us crammed into one bed. Bumjin fed Ella while I helped Zoe. It was messy and chaotic and absolutely perfect. After breakfast, he sent the children to play and turned to me. There is something I need to tell you. My stomach dropped. What? The DNA results from the court case. They arrived yesterday. And Minjun is definitely my biological son. Ella is definitely your biological daughter. No surprises there. He paused. But there was something else. A genetic marker that runs in my family. A hereditary condition that requires monitoring. Is Zoe okay? He is fine, but he will need regular checkups, as will Ella since she also carries the marker. He took my hand. We will handle it together, as a family. Family, that word kept coming up. There's something I need to tell you too, I said quietly. What is wrong? Nothing's wrong, I'm pregnant. The silence was deafening. Bumjin stared at me. What? I'm pregnant, about 6 weeks. I found out yesterday. You. He couldn't seem to form words. Are you upset? Upset? No, I am. He pulled me into his arms. I am terrified and thrilled and completely overwhelmed. Yeah, same. He pulled back just enough to see my face. This changes everything. Does it? Because I thought we were already a family. We were, but now there is no question. No biological versus adopted. No his or hers. This child will be ours, completely ours. I started crying, happy tears this time. I love you, he said suddenly. I do not know when it happened. Perhaps when you fought Seoyeon. Perhaps when you first held Minjun. Perhaps the moment I saw you on those surveillance videos, loving my son when you had no reason to. But I love you, Victoria, desperately. I love you too, even though you're controlling and manipulative and emotionally constipated. He laughed. Fair assessment. But you're also kind and patient, and you'd burn the world down for our children. How could I not love that? He kissed me, soft and slow and full of promise. When we broke apart, Ella stood in the doorway. Mama, Appa, why are you crying? Mama, she called me Mama. I opened my arms. This time, she ran to me without hesitation. Happy tears, baby, just happy tears. Zoe barreled in next, not wanting to be left out. Bumjin caught him and lifted both children, one in each arm. We have news, he announced. You are going to be big brother and big sister. Baby, Zoe's eyes went wide. Yes, a baby. My baby. Our baby, all of ours. Ella clapped. Want baby now. You have to wait a few months, little flower. I watched them Bumjin with our children, our family, our imperfect but fiercely loved family, and felt complete. The hospital had switched our bobbies, a terrible, unforgivable mistake that should have destroyed us. Instead, it brought us together. 4 broken pieces that somehow formed a whole. Later that night, after the children were asleep, Bumjin and I stood on the balcony overlooking the grounds. What are you thinking? He asked. That I should probably quit my job. Can't exactly work 2 jobs while pregnant with 2 toddlers. You do not need to work at all. I need purpose. I need to contribute. Then contribute. Start a foundation. Help other single mothers. Use your experience to make a difference. He pulled me close. But let me support you while you do it. Let me take care of you for once. That's still controlling. Is it, or is it a partnership? I smiled against his chest. Maybe a little of both. I can live with that. We stood there in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Victoria. Yeah. Thank you. For what? For giving me a family, for teaching me how to love, for being strong enough to stay when I gave you every reason to run. He kissed my temple. Thank you for choosing us. I didn't really have a choice, I teased. You always had a choice. You just chose to fight instead of flee. That takes courage I will never stop admiring. My eyes burned again. Damn pregnancy hormones. I'd choose you again, I whispered. Every time. Good, because you are stuck with me now, for better or worse. We never actually said vows, you know. The marriage was legal paperwork, not a ceremony. Then we will have a ceremony, a real one, with the children present and vows we actually mean. His arms tightened around me. I want to marry you properly, Victoria Chen. Will you let me? I turned in his embrace, looking up at this man who'd blackmailed me into marriage and somehow became the love of my life. Yes, I'll marry you again, properly this time. He kissed me under the stars, and I knew without a doubt this was where I belonged. Not because of the children, though I loved them with everything in me. Not because of the house, or the money, or the protection he offered. But because somewhere between the lies and the truth and the messy middle ground, we'd built something real. Something lasting. Something worth fighting for. The hospital switched our bobbies. But maybe, just maybe, fate knew what it was doing all along.